Hey guys, welcome to Glow Kids service. I'm Miss Shay, and I'm the children's pastor here at Langley Church of God Glow Kids. And today we're going to have a lesson about what happened after Easter. And so I want to talk to you guys for a few minutes because I know that the COVID-19 virus has brought a lot of changes, right? It's brought a lot of changes. There's not any sporting there's not any games or like other sporting events happening, and you have to use Clorox wipes and hand sanitizer and wash your hands all the time, which those are good things to do anyway. But now people are saying that we need to wear masks if we go somewhere, and all kind of things like that to try to keep us safe. So sometimes all these changes can be kind of scary, right? Sometimes they can be scary. But all of these things are supposed to be helpful and help protect us against this virus. Well, the thing is that the virus, we can't see that with our naked eye. I know that's kind of a crazy way to say that, but that means like no microscope. So if we had a microscope and we had the virus, we could see it. But whenever you just look at it, you can't see the virus, can you? When you just look out, you cannot see it. So we have to hope and trust that these things here will protect us. So that reminds me of a story in our Bible from John chapter 20. And John chapter 20 happens right after Easter. And the disciples were so scared because they saw what the Jewish leaders did to Jesus, where they crucified him. And they saw that and they were scared and they were worried that they were going to come after them and do that to them. So they hid in their house. I'm going to read from chapter 20, verse 19, and it says, "Then the same day at evening, being the first day of the week, when the doors were shut and the disciples were assembled for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood in the midst of them and said, 'Peace be with you.' When he had said this, he showed them his hands and his side. And the disciples were glad when they saw the Lord. But there was one of the disciples, his name was Thomas, and Thomas wasn't there. So whenever Thomas got back to the house, all of the disciples were so happy. They were like, 'We saw Jesus. We saw him. We saw his hands. We saw his side.' They were so excited. But do you know what Thomas said? In verse 25, Thomas, it says, 'The other disciples therefore said to him, "We have seen the Lord." So he said to them, "Unless I see his hands and the nail scars in his hands, and I put my fingers in it and into his side, I will not believe." So Thomas said, "I've got to see it with my own eyes to believe that you guys saw Jesus." So 8 days later, the disciples were gathered together again, but this time doubting Thomas was there too. And Jesus appeared to them, and in verse 27, he said to Thomas, "Reach your finger here, look at my hands. Put your hand here and put your hand on my side, and do not be unbelieving, but go believing." Thomas was so excited. Jesus had came back and saw them again. So even though Thomas doubted the first time because he didn't get to see it with his own eyes, he believed then, didn't he? So Jesus goes on and says, "Thomas, because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe." Blessed are those that have not seen but believe. Who do you think they're talking about there? Who do you think? That's Jesus talking. The letters here are red. So who do you think he's talking about? Blessed are those who have not seen yet believe. He's talking about us. We can't see Jesus, right? We can feel him. We have him in our heart. We know he's there. We know he loves us. We can see God all around us and everything, right? We can see him in the birds and in all of creation and in this storm that we have going on today. We see him whenever we see the little kids smile and whenever we get to hold new little babies. The evidence of God and Jesus is all around us, but we don't get to see them with our eyes. But we can feel him in our hearts. And he is always with us, and he is always there for us. So we don't have to be scared or worry, and we don't ever have to doubt him. We don't ever have to be like Thomas and say, because I don't see it with my eyes, I don't believe it. We don't ever have to be like that, because Jesus and his love is always there for us. We just have to believe. So if you would bow your head and close your eyes, we're going to pray. Dear Jesus, we are so thankful for this day. God, we just thank you for showing us that we don't have to doubt and that we can believe in you. Lord, thank you for protecting us and our families, Lord. Thank you for giving us a way that we can still gather together to talk about you and to learn about you and your word. Lord, we are just so thankful for all that you've done for us and for our families, Lord. In your name we pray.